Anyway, if there was one, and like you brought it up, it's not about the contract that nobody cares about. I mean, some people do, but like, it's not about the $40 million anymore. We just need you to justify being on the floor.
Yeah.
And for so much of this game, he did not justify being on the floor. And if there's one play that shows the Tobias Harris experience, I forget if it was the third quarter or the fourth quarter, probably the third because most of the regulars didn't play in the fourth. But when he just dribbled 10 seconds off the shot clock, and I don't think it was a violation only because they turned it over quick enough that it didn't, but he legitimately just spent 10 seconds dribbling the air out of the ball and got nowhere, was in a completely compromised position.
Derek, it wasn't a shot clock violation because he fucking traveled first.
Yeah. Kyle brought it up multiple times. Right now, you trust Paul Reed off the dribble more than you trust Tobias Harris. And I spent most of the summer saying, I don't want Paul Reed playing the floor. I don't think he spaces the floor well enough to play at the four. I don't think he makes good enough decisions off the bounce to play at the four. Well, gosh darn it, the $40 million man you're paying to play the four right now can't do that either. It's not about the contract anymore. You just need to be playable. He's really just not earning those minutes. Not even close. Not even close.
Dude, again, we've been pretty harsh at times on Kelly Oubre on this show, right?
Sure.
Riding the roller coaster with him. The thing that I think I've at least come to appreciate somewhat during this non-Embiid stretch, he doesn't go out there and just like take it, right? Like he's going to play his way. He's going to fall on his sword, die with his sword in his hand at the very least. And sometimes that means Kelly Oubre is going to shoot, 4 for 19, or just take crazy shots and stupid gambles and dumb fouls and all that. But I can at least find a way to respect a guy who's like, you know what? Like, I trust myself. I believe in myself. I'm going to attack this guy. I think I can dunk on this person. I don't have a right hand, but fuck it, I'm going to try anyway. Like, I can respect that on a weird level, even if Kelly Oubre has a bad game. There is nothing to respect about the way Tobias Harris is playing basketball right now. Like, we can have that whole conversation about the money is the money and it doesn't matter. They need to bench him, whatever it is. He, by virtue of making $40 million and by signing this contract, his commitment was to be one of the most important people on this team. He has saddled this team with that contract. Well, I should say the team saddled themselves with the contract, but they have had to work around it for a half decade. It has impacted their ability to build around Joel Embiid. It impacted many decisions that they could have made or didn't make in the year since. And right now, because he is making that money, the guys that they have to support him and to support the rest of the roster without Embiid are not good enough. We're asking Kelly Oubre collectively, like, hey, Kelly, you got to go out there, right, and carry the offense for stretches of the game because this fucking guy has no desire to or no ability to. We were talking about Dante DiVincenzo during this game, right? Former Villanova guy who has really found his role on the Knicks lately. And he has shot, I think Derek pulled the stat up during the game, since mid-January, he has taken 11 threes per fucking game as a role player for the Knicks. We sit here and talk about how it's like pulling teeth to get Tobias Harris to take 3 threes in a game. He played 26 and a half minutes and shot 2 threes.
No.
2 threes. This is supposed to be one of the guys that spaces the floor for Joel Embiid in a crunch time lineup, in a starting lineup, in games that matter. Right now, he is the guy who's supposed to be one of the 2 best players on your team, and he's absolutely anonymous. It's not that he's inefficient. Most nights he's relatively efficient. Tonight is an exception. He goes 1 for 6. Again, the problem is the same as it always was. He is unwilling to persevere through tough times. He doesn't get going early. He fades into the background. And as Derek brought up, the worst part was tonight he actively killed rallies that the Sixers put together, right? They come out of halftime. They're already down pretty big. And they put on a little run to start the second half. Like they're playing pace. They're playing space. They're moving the ball, hitting some threes. And immediately after the Knicks call a timeout, Tobias Harris misses a layup that turns into a DiVincenzo transition 3. And the next possession is Tobias catches it with 10 seconds, wastes 6 of it, drives in with the next 3. And right before he's about to give somebody a hot potato with 1 second on the shot clock, he travels. And Jalen Brunson goes and gets an N1 on the other side of the floor. So look, we can talk about all these other reasons that they're failing, right? They have all these defensive weaknesses. The whole team is not bought in defensively in the way that they should. And certainly we saw they're capable of doing so. Sunday against this same exact team, granted with OG Anunoby joining them tonight, they turned in one of their best defensive performances of the season, only to follow it up with this disinterested garbage. But I cannot sit here and watch Tobias Harris go through the fucking motions like this. It's unacceptable. And I don't understand. Like, we have tried on the media side, I'll speak for myself, but also other people that are in that room. We have tried to say to Nick, like, what is going on here? Like, what do you have to do to get Tobias going? And diplomatically ask him versions of, well, why does he continue to play? Why is he one of your featured players? Because the truth right now is that every possession that they spend trying to get him going, letting him run a pick and roll, letting him go down to the mid post, asking him to attack a smaller player potentially, but now he's so in his own head, he's not even recognizing when he has mismatches, right? We were talking tonight, Devon. There are times he's trying to go at Josh Hart, who's one of the better defenders they have on the floor, and he's getting absolutely stonewalled. And then they've wasted 6, 7, 8 seconds in a possession just because he had to touch the ball. It's a design look for him. So I can't imagine the fans at this point, 5 years into this, are just completely done, because I'm done. I watch it every single night. I watch some of these guys play the right way, try to be about the right things, and we've tried to give Tobias, some grace for a long time, because his role can be tricky when one night he's the 4th most important guy, one night he's got to be the 2nd guy, whatever. But heavy is the head that gets paid $40 million, dude. Like, I'm tired of this shit.
His role with Joel Embiid out of the lineup for a few weeks now was supposed to be one of the 2 best players on the basketball team. Any move that was made at the deadline before Embiid went out was to add to the team of Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. But we've seen far too often after 5 years of this that I'm sick and tired of this type of performance, this type of effort, this type of play where he gets into his own head and he allows himself and lets the opponent off the hook for whatever it is that we all believe on the positive side of what he can do as a 18 to 20 point per game scorer. And when he has talked in the past about being an assassin scorer, or you hear other things about where he feels like there are not enough touches or finding that role has been defined now for a few weeks, that even after 4 years that we are here right now, Maxey as the all-star, as the lead guy, the supporting cast should start after Tobias Harris. And when we see stuff like this and other performances that we have seen out there on the floor from him, I don't care about the money anymore. It's about the player of what is projected to be out there on the floor when he checks into that game as a starter for Nick Nurse's team, and to not get that kind of performance continually doing this, where it's 2 weeks of really good, 2 weeks or 3 weeks of really bad, and to have this type of effort tonight. I mean, we were sitting there, and yes, I did giggle when we started things out, because sometimes at this point, all you can do is laugh until we get to this part of the show where we get serious, because we're just all sick and tired of it. And every excuse in the book can be made for this guy who is 6'9", and many times out there on the floor, he's playing against people who are smaller than him, where he should be more aggressive, getting to the free throw line, finishing close to the basket, and with that three-point volume, we talk about that coming into with the flow of the game. That thing naturally happens. But the way that he has done this as of late, and we gave him the credit for the Dallas game with his 28 and the other games where he has performed well out there on the floor, when someone like OG Anunoby comes in, and you can see it right away with his physicality coming right back, and he bodies Tobias Harris, and you can see it very, very quickly. He's going to give the ball up because of whatever it is with the fear against OG Anunoby and not believing in himself that he can get something done. I'm sick of it. There are 18 games remaining on the season. I would imagine that he's going to play in all 18 just because they need him out there on the floor. He is always available because he doesn't really get injured unless it's something major. And, of course, the sickness that he had earlier in the season. But this one was a real stinker from Tobias Harris tonight.
We all silly like the mayor.